Hello, and welcome to the Post About Ghosts podcast. I'm your co-host, Chellemo, and with me as always, I have Aidy. Hi, Aidy.
Hello.
I'm excited about this episode, Aidy.
Yes.
Because we are going to be responding to our very first listener topic request.
Yay.
The comment was from one of our YouTube listeners named Superior Inferiority. And I have to say, I love that name. I wish I had thought of it first because I am absolutely superiorly inferior myself.
Wow.
Well, Superior Inferiority wrote to us, "Great start to season 2. It's cool that the podcast is on YouTube now as well. You mentioned the unreliability of ghost hunting tech. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Xbox Kinect camera being used on some ghost hunting shows. Personally, I'd like to see them using the Game Boy camera and printer." Now, after this, he does post a laughing emoji, so I'm thinking that he meant that as a joke.
Yeah.
Now, however, you know that I am a forever optimist, and even though the quality of the image was total crap on those things by today's standards, it is a camera, so I would be willing to take it out and see what happens.
Right.
I might do that in the future, just for a laugh. I might do that.
Do you have a Game Boy?
You know what? They have to be super cheap. They're either super cheap or so astronomically expensive because they're collectible now. I'll have to look into that. But no, I don't have one. I would have to pick one up probably secondhand. But you never know. If one falls into my hands, I'll take it out and I'll do the homework. Moving on from that, though, about the Kinect.
Yes.
Aidy, you've had some experience with the Kinect.
Yeah, I have. Yes.
Why don't you kick things off and give us your opinion on the device and what you know about it being used for ghost hunting?
Well, let's start with the device itself. So,
Perfect.
the Microsoft Kinect motion sensing input device was released for the Xbox 360 in 2010. But these days it's been discontinued. There was a second one released, a Kinect 2, which came out bundled with the Xbox One when that came out in 2013, I think it was. But yeah, the Kinect device has subsequently been discontinued. Basically, I just think as a gaming input device, it didn't really take off. It didn't really go down too well overall, because if it had done, it'd still be around today.
Yeah, it wasn't marketed as a paranormal device.
No, it was just a motion sensor device. It was bought out because of the success of the Wii, with the motion controls on the Wii. And Sony came out with the Move, I think it was called.
Right.
And Microsoft came out with a Kinect. Was it a Move?
The Move slipped by me. I don't remember what they did.
Yeah, they released something which was more similar to the Wii controller in that you had these little handheld things. Or Microsoft went with the full body. You basically, your body is the controller thing with the Kinect.
Yes.
So yeah, it contains RGB cameras, infrared projectors, and detectors that map depth. I'm reading this out in case you can't tell, because there's no way I know all this garbage off the top of my head. Using either structured light or time of flight calculations. God, what a load of nonsense. This is used for gesture recognition and body skeletal detection. Now, that last bit is going to be the important one with regards to it being used as a paranormal device. It also contains microphones for voice control and speech recognition. And as I've already said, there was a second version of this released for the Xbox One. Outside of gaming, it has been used in the medical industry and robotics, and also as a paranormal device. Now,
yes, it has.
Yeah. So, we'll briefly touch upon my experience with the Kinect. It can basically be lit on fire and thrown into the sea, as far as I'm concerned, because that thing insulted me by refusing to scan me in and kept telling me to stand further away from it to the point where I was pinned up against the far wall, about 7 feet away from the absolute detestable piece of garbage, and just didn't really work that well, I found. So I traded it for a PlayStation Vita when that come out. It spent most of its time in a box, and I think I had 2 games for it. One of them was the Kinect Adventures, which I think came with it, and then I had this other thing, I can't even remember what it was. I can't even remember what the other game was I bought with it. I couldn't get either to work properly, and I just thought, nah, I'm sorry, I'm not jumping around like I'm stood on an electric cable trying to get this arsehole to work. So, yeah, that got boxed up and sent away and traded in.
Yeah, I had one briefly myself that I got rid of, but my experience with it, the only problem that I had was that when I was sitting in the living room watching TV and the whole Xbox was supposed to be turned off.
Yeah.
It would randomly wake up and start looking around the room. And I thought, what is it doing? So, I lost interest at myself. And I'm not the biggest fan of getting up out of my chair and moving around. So that wasn't the greatest selling point for me anyway. So
it appears then that the Kinect was picked up in the paranormal community as a device that they were using in order to scan movement, and they were picking up interesting things. Like the sort of skeletal wireframe body Kinect. What the hell would you call it? Would you call it like body scanning thing? I don't know. But yeah, that.
Now, the very first time I heard about this, I heard about a video on YouTube where a person said, my Kinect keeps telling me that I am player 1 and showing me a player 2 right beside me when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
I think that was the very first thing I ever heard about this.
Yeah.
And people got interested in what it was doing after that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I ended up like watching videos on this because, in all fairness, I didn't really understand how Kinect worked.
Right.
I had to say, I barely used it. You watched the video with me, and it was sort of fascinating.
It was.
On how this thing actually works. And from that, I mean, because initially when you look at this thing and you start to see how these, what you call them, glitches, or these sort of apparitions of these stick figures come along, and you think, whoa, how can that be? You know, what is that? This thing that seems to appear to be climbing all over someone. And it's not until you actually delve into how the Kinect works that you start to begin to see a pattern emerging. And one of the key things is actually with the instructions with the Kinect is that when you use it, the space around you and the space in front between you and the Kinect device, there can't be anything. It has to be a clear space. This was something that was happening with me, that the distance between me and the Kinect in a straight line was clear, but there was stuff around that I couldn't move. Yeah. And this was formulating a problem with it.
Yeah, I think the actual specs say that you're supposed to have a completely clear 10 by 10 room with nothing in it.
Yeah. And this was one of the limitations as well with the device, because that's just not practical for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, who has a 10 by 10 empty space in their house?
Yeah.
Does anybody?
So this is it. And what we were seeing was that if there are objects in that environment, and we were watching this on the video, and it was interesting that if you moved, I mean, the guy was moving the Kinect ever so slightly, and it was one of these sort of wireframe skeletal things would appear, and it would appear to be, in the example he gave, he had a backpack on a chair that was, and this thing sort of appeared on that backpack, and it was almost as if the Kinect was trying to turn the backpack and that chair into a person. It was almost as he was trying to detect a person there. And then he would walk in front of it, he'd walk towards it, and he would hold his hand out, and it would appear to react as if there was an actionable thing there, that there was an entity reacting to him reaching his hand out towards it.
Reaching back for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But you think if you were to just look at that, you'd be going, wow, like, what is that? But what the Kinect was trying to do was resolve another player in that space, because the Kinect will detect more than one person. Now, he said, the guy, I mean, it's his video is a guy called Kenny Biddle on YouTube, and it's really good, because he did go into quite a lot of depth, because I was open-minded, not knowing really how Kinect worked and what could be causing this. Now, he said this, he'd left it for about half an hour, and this stick figure, which he was trying to map onto this chair, hadn't moved. It was still there. Now, when he goes in, it looks like it's reaching back towards him, as if when he holds his hand out, it's holding his hand out. But what's happening is the Kinect is trying to resolve what it's supposed to be scanning. And what will happen eventually, it looks like the stick figure jumps on him and then disappears. Now, of course, in the paranormal sense, it would look like that somebody has just essentially been possessed, right? Because this thing's latched onto them and then it's disappeared. But actually, it's the Kinect device itself trying to resolve what it's supposed to be scanning and who it's supposed to be scanning. And as he comes in, because he is more of a human shape, it's essentially just like removing the inactive player and scanning him as an active player, which is what the device is trying to do. The other thing as well, which the Kinect instructions say, is it has to be on a flat, level surface. In other words, to be left still, because it moves itself. It has its, as you were saying, it was moving and scanning your room, looking for obviously a player to start up the console and play a game with. Now, if you're, what they do with this Kinect device, because I was looking into how they set it up, what they do is they use some kind of handle bracket system that they connect the device, the Kinect to, and they connect it to like a Windows tablet with audio equipment, and infrared recording and screen capture software, and they're walking around with this in their hand. Now, that's not what you're supposed to do with Kinect. It's not a mobile thing. You have to keep it still. So that was always something that I think was always going to start to create issues with it, because you're moving around, and basically that's not what Kinect is designed for in the first place. What I would be interested in with Kinect, because I've said all of this, and I think that kind of explains why these skeletal figures appear and then disappear, these sort of wireframe things appear then vanish. I think what's fair with that, what's fair to say with that is you can explain it. The device isn't really being used, first of all, how it was designed to be. It's been used as a portable device, which it isn't. It's not a portable device. And then just in the nature of how it works, it's always scanning, trying to find a human shape to scan in. That's what it does. So if you've got objects that are in its path, like you say, within that 10 by 10 area, it's going to scan them. And that's what it's doing. That's what you're seeing. What I would like to see is somebody set this device up, leave it in a static location in a room which conforms to its requirements, because if there's you then see a person or a one of these stick figures walk across, but there's nobody in there, because that's the other thing we noted as well. These things aren't actually mobile. They're stuck to a location. They're stuck to a thing which they're trying to scan. Now, if you suddenly had one of these things that walks across and it scans it, and then they go out of view, and then it obviously loses its scanning thing and disappears. If you had that, then I think that would be far more compelling. If you were going to ask me, I don't think I can attribute anything. I think it's difficult to say, this is paranormal, because The
Yeah.
Kinect is not the greatest device on earth. There were issues with it. And the other thing I've noted as well is do any of them actually use the Kinect 2 to do this with? It always seems to be the
Yeah, I would like
original
to know that
Kinect,
myself.
the ones I've seen, because I mean it did have issues. I mean there were people that did complain that it would lose their tracking when they were playing games and stuff. So it wasn't perfect technology, and you know my view on that. I think you have to have a much more reliable base if you want to try and prove anything. But
And you know me, I tend to be a little more giddy when it comes to things like
yeah,
this, and I'm easier to get on board. But it has been one of my tops on my wish list for paranormal equipment. I really wanted to get my hands on it. After the video, I'm less enthusiastic about spending the money, I will have to say.
well that's the thing, because what I would like to see is it being set up and used as a static camera. I mean, when they do the investigations, they will have these static night vision cameras. I think if you can set one of these things up, again, the caveat is it has to conform to what Kinect requires for it to
Well,
function
I would
properly.
say the room has to be completely empty.
Yeah,
That would eliminate anything in the room that it's trying to assess as a person.
yeah. If you've got objects within within its scannable range, it's going to try and detect them. That I don't think you
Yeah.
can say it's paranormal. No, it's just trying to scan an object to see if it's a person, and that because that's what it's designed to do. If you've got
Yeah, and it's designed to do it in an empty room, so it's not
yeah,
probably not even programmed to ignore things in the room if they're not supposed to be there.
exactly. So yeah, that it was very interesting, and as I say, I'm fascinated to see if anybody has ever set one of these up in the respective environment, and in doing
Yeah.
so, have they come across something weird? I would be interested to see that, but certainly with regards to what I've seen so far on these ghost hunting shows, that kind of satisfactorily explained it, because he did
Yeah.
this over a period of time, and tried various different things, didn't he? Put different types of objects, and the same thing kept happening. So it's clear that the Kinect was trying to do something each time. He's trying to reconcile a human form, even against an object which clearly isn't a human thing. It's just a
Yeah.
limitation with the hardware. But yeah, I think it would be extremely compelling if you had it set up in an empty room and then like a stick figure walked across. I think you've got to be saying, well, okay, what the hell was that?
Yeah,
Because
okay. Yeah.
there was nobody or nothing in there at the time it happened. So, I mean, I'm not ruling it out. I'm not, I'm just saying from what I've seen, I think you can explain it just as being a limitation of the actual hardware being used for something it wasn't designed for to be used in the first place. So, yeah. That's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, if you are listening to the podcast and you have one of these devices and have the capability to do an experiment like that, we would love to see it.
Yeah.
Set up in a room, like you said, static environment, empty. If you can get us an image, I'm sure if you got an image of something walking through an empty room, you probably wouldn't give it to us. But
Yeah.
let us know when you're going to put it out there, because I'm very interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, is that it?
That was it for the Kinect for me.
Well, you know what I'm coming with. I think this is a good episode for me to take a deeper dive into the one piece of ghost hunting equipment that I am on a personal quest to obliterate as a paranormal tool.
Now, this wouldn't happen to be the Panasonic RRDR60 by any chance, would it?
I am talking about the Panasonic DR60 audio recorder, which has somehow gotten the title of the Holy Grail of EVP.
Yes.
Now, this recorder is not only not the holy grail of anything paranormal, it isn't even a good quality dictation device, and that is what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It came out in 1998 and sold for about $100 in the US.
Mm-hmm.
The manual said its sample rate is 6 kilohertz. So that means that it can only produce up to 3 kilohertz.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I'm not really techie with audio equipment, but the human ear can hear anything from 20 hertz to 20 gigahertz. So this thing can't even produce the full spectrum of what people can hear without equipment. For comparison, CD quality sample rate is 44.1 kilohertz, which just blows this thing away like you can't even imagine. So very low quality. As a matter of fact, Aidy, you and I watched a couple videos on this device to prepare for this show. So correct me if I'm wrong, but did the man in the video you found actually say that this device produced the same quality audio as the old analog telephone system?
I think he said it wasn't even up to that standard, but at the very best, yes. Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about, that people are spending thousands of dollars on.
Yeah.
So why are so many people swearing by this device? I had a look yesterday, and even now, at the time of this recording, there are several on sale on the US eBay site, and there's 3 that I noticed right away that are listed in the $2,000 price range. One was actually $2,400. This is madness.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to get us into trouble, and I'm not calling anyone out by name here. As a matter of fact, I don't know the people personally who have them listed, so they could be among the people that really think this thing is great. You know, they could be genuinely selling a product that they think is great. Who knows? I'll give the benefit of the doubt in this case. However, if you are listening and you are selling one right now, stop it. It's a garbage device that lasted only a year on the shelf, and Panasonic pulled it and replaced it with a new model, which was supposed to be better quality and clear up a lot of problems that the DR60 had.
Well, we actually saw a video of a guy comparing it, and even through a video on YouTube, you could notably tell the superior sound quality of the one they replaced it with. It was night and day. I mean, it was literally, you could tell that they thought, this thing that we've made isn't very good. Because 12 months later, they've replaced it with one, and you can, when he plays the audio back from both of these devices, it is completely different. It's so much clearer on the newer device than it was on the older one.
Yeah, so we watched the 2 videos on this device, and I have to say, the videos that we found and brought to the table say so much about us personally, about what we watch on YouTube. Because in the one I found, the guy was just blunt and critical about the quality of the audio it produced. He pretty much claimed to be sick and tired of people calling anything recorded on this device a Class A EVP.
Yeah.
Because the sounds are way too garbled for that. And I have heard a lot of these EVPs recorded on this thing myself as a paranormal video watcher. And I have to agree. He didn't really break down the science necessarily, but he reviewed the device solely on the sound quality in layman's terms. And his opinion was this thing is total crap. I mean, you would think it stole his lunch money.
Yeah, he was not impressed.
Not impressed. So and I will say this video is from about 7 years ago on the channel Mike V at GPT on YouTube. And he may have been one of the first people to come out and say anything before proof started actually rolling in.
Yeah.
So the science may not have been there. But the video clip that you found that you were talking about, and of course, everything that we mentioned, I'll put links to in the show notes so you all can check it out for yourself. But this one was released on YouTube on the channel Center for Inquiry.
Yeah.
Or Inquiry if you're in the UK, as I've been told by Aidy. About 2 years ago, and it featured your guy, Kenny Biddle. He goes on and does all the homework on this thing. So to give you some context on what we're talking about, there's kind of two categories of sound that you're always going to get with this thing. And when you use the DR60, there's a loud growling sound, and then there's a softer growling garbled sound.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. I've heard them many times from watching the paranormal channels on YouTube, and I have to be honest, if they were real, they're really creepy sounds. So I can see why people want the device, because they want to pick up that sound. But if you know it's not paranormal and you're just using this device to get the sound so you can get likes, I don't know, it's entertainment, not research, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So we have to move on from this device because it's faulty.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it produce an actual human-like voice where I can tell Class A what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
I would agree with the guy that said there's no way these are Class A. All the noises to me sounded animalistic at best. People are saying demon.
Yeah, people just sounds like a growl. Or as if you've ever watched Little Bush, it sounds like Dick Cheney. That's it. That's exactly what it sounds like. It's like I said, Dick Cheney, get out of my EVP recorder,
So I can see why people want to get those sounds because they really are spooky and creepy. But that said, there is a scientific reason for some of those sounds.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing it back and you've got this device and you hear that, I mean, it's loud. It makes you jump.
Yeah,
and
it does.
That's not what you expect because you're expecting the device to have either like your voice, which it plays back, but then when you leave it, you expect silence. So because there's no other sound like that going on. So I could get like the first time you use it, I would myself, if I'd have bought this device, I would be like, what the hell was that? That wasn't in the environment. It does give you that reaction. Yeah, it does. I mean, even when I remember the first time I watched somebody use this and played it back, I was like, what the hell was that? Immediately I'm like, well, that wasn't on the video. I didn't hear any sound like that. I mean, the guy asked the question and held it, and it was deadly quiet. And then you hear that sound. And so, I can get how you would initially, when you encounter this device, why you would think it's picking up something, like aggressive or even demonic in the environment because of that.
Yeah. Mr. Biddle does some experiments, and I think he used 4 completely different settings to record audio with this device, and he got exactly the same noise patterns. See, as a science guy, he was looking for patterns in this as well as with the Kinect patterns that he found.
Yeah.
But each time, when you get a pattern like this, you have to wonder if there's a defect causing it.
Yeah, because he also went into different locations as well, so...
Yes. Yeah, 4 different settings completely.
Yeah.
And he did some digging, and he found out that there's an actual problem with the way this device processes audio in 1-second clips. And how it adds sound that's missing from that 1 second. He related it to the voice-activated start, and the science of it all goes way over my head. But I will link to his video for anybody that's geeky about stuff like that.
It's very fascinating because it wasn't he suggesting like it has a sound library that it uses to sort of fill in the gaps, doesn't it?
To match sounds, and fill in what's missing. So those sounds that it's putting in could very well be empty spaces within that 1 second, because it's limited to processing in 1 second blocks.
Yeah.
And if there's an issue with the voice activation, it causes a little bit of a gap in that 1 second, and it puts noise in there. So I'm just going to have to call foul on this one. I just think if all I can say is please don't pay $2,000 for this device.
No, because
it's not worth it. You're not getting anything paranormal.
This dials into what I was saying about the Kinect. You have to start, your very base level has to be a device that works. And that's
that is the key.
It has to be something that works as intended, and this device never did. That's why Panasonic removed it from sale and replaced it with another model that didn't have that issue. Now, people will say, well, it's clear because it's whatever it was built, it can detect this. Well, no, because when you watch the video, you'll see why it's doing it, and it's not paranormal. It's just was a poorly made device, and as he indicated at the time, it was almost like a prototype.
Yeah.
It was it was like old tech. It was at the time it wasn't, but by today's standards it is. And when you look at its frequency, you would want something that was a hell of a lot more sensitive. If you're trying to detect audio within any environment, you want the audio to have as big a range as possible. And the range on this thing is minuscule. It's literally barely works as a dictaphone, like you say. I mean, it barely functions in that capacity. So the idea that it would be able to detect, sort of stuff beyond human hearing, is just
like I said, I'm not techie at all about this kind of thing, but it seems to me like if you're a paranormal investigator, you would want a device that can pick up things that you can actually not hear with your own ears, at least.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even go outside the range of what you can hear without a device. Just put it down and listen if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I think he said that they did an experimentation with two of these devices, and they weren't even in synchronicity. So again, if this thing...
Yeah, they got two totally different sounds.
Yeah, so if this device did have some, unusual hardware inside of it, which made it able to do this, then they would all do exactly the same thing, but it doesn't. So it's clear it's how it's processing sound and then delivering that sound back to you when you play it back. That's where the issue lies. I have they don't call them EVP because then dictaphone is like a trademark, but I have something, one of these audio things, and it doesn't. I mean, I did have a weird audio thing on it, but I'm sure if I delved into it, it would be explainable. But it just sounded like I likened it to some sort of jet engine passing by.
Yeah. It is so bizarre that you even said that right now, because I was just about to say, speaking of sounds, I've got some fool flying a single engine airplane over my house. So if anybody hears that, that's what it is.
But yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that.
I was just going to say, like, the thing with mine was, it was just a sound. It sounded like a jet, but rather than you hear the sound sort of grow and then hit a crescendo and fade away, it's just like it's like the beginning and end bits missing from the audio.
Yeah, it was. It was very chopped off at both ends.
Yeah,
I heard it.
But I mean, I could probably, if I delved into it, could probably come up with the fact that it went above and beyond the range of the recording device at the beginning and the end. It just picked up the bit that it could detect. And in all other occasions when it's been used, I've never come across anything like that. And I can say that, it was in summer, the window was open, and we do have aircraft that pass overhead. So when factoring all of those things in, it was a strange sound in how it presented itself, but I don't think I could sit here and put my hand on my heart and say it was paranormal. It's just strange.
Yeah.
It's not how I would have heard an aircraft.
It definitely was strange.
Yeah, it's not how I would have heard an aircraft, but this is an electronic device that was just sat in my room, and for experimentational purposes, after I got it, I decided to leave it on because that was a noise activated recording device. So I just turned it on and left it in here. But again,
well, I do believe that you have alien visitors.
You do,
at night.
which is hilarious.
There's just things that lead me to that conclusion. All I know is when they finally come, please come and get me before you go away with them, because I want to go too.
Oh God.
Oh, well, yeah. So I have zero confidence in this device. I think people are using it to scam people that don't know.
Yeah.
And I hope I can get the word out there what's going on with this thing so people will stop wasting their money. Because $2,000, even though this, like you were saying, Aidy, this is an expensive hobby, $2,000 would buy a lot of really good equipment.
Yeah, I was going to say, get another one. Get an up-to-date one. There are plenty out there, and there's some really good devices as well that look
Sony always has some nice ones.
I mean, the one I've got is Sony, and it's not, I think it was £50-60, and it was crystal clear. I mean, in actuality, on my own YouTube channel a few years ago, I was using it to actually record my own little audio chat thing on there, and it was fine. I mean, it was really good, and I had no weird things in the playback either. I mean, it was great because I just used to sit around and just, when something I wanted to chat about came along, I would actually just record it. And so, like I say, you can get really good quality devices, and they're either going to pick it up or they're not. That's what you have to accept. It's either going to pick something up or it isn't. And you want to have as good a device as you can for doing this type of thing. You certainly don't want something that has, whether you believe it or not, but let's just say questionable audio capabilities, because how do you know what you're getting is real if it's a device that's not that great?
Yeah, I need to upgrade mine, but I have to say my audio recorder is an old Sony recorder. We'll have to put in the show notes exactly which one it is, because it's the model number is escaping me. It's the PD something. But this device was great. It would get voices that actually answered questions I was asking. I went to a friend's house who was having some trouble with some paranormal activity, and we went in, and it was me and her. We went in, and I asked the device if it liked living in the house with Angie and Chris, which was her and her boyfriend's name at the time. And the device said, just Angie. So it seemed to answer the specific question that I asked, and we prodded it and got a few more really good answers. I asked who it was, and it said Kurt. And Angie did have an uncle named Kurt that had committed suicide. And she said that she always felt like she was the one haunted, not the house, that it would follow her. So maybe it was Kurt looking over her. I did another EVP in my own house because my cat was acting really weird and looking at the wall. You know how they do, animals get that thing where they just stare at something that's absolutely not there.
Yeah.
And it kind of freaks you out. Well, I got out the EVP recorder and I said, "Are you playing with my cat?" And I heard a British man say, "I don't like cats."
Wow.
So that was a great device. I'll put up whatever the model is. I'll put that up in the show notes as well. But it's, like I said, it's probably 20 years old now and I need to upgrade. And Sony does have some really nice looking stuff on the market.
The one I've got, yeah, I've just had a look now. I've actually got it in my hand. It's a Sony, I think is it ICD? I'm guessing it's ICD. Yes. PX333 digital voice recorder. That's the one I've got, and I have to say I was really impressed with it.
You happy with it?
Yeah, well, I'm just looking now. You can pick this up used off eBay for £18, and it's really good.
So that about $25.
Yeah, and this will you can either just set it to record, or you can also set it to record on noise on activation. In other words, when it hears a noise, it'll start recording, or you can have it set to recording all the time. So if you want to leave this in a room where it won't drain its battery too much because it'll only kick on when it starts, I mean,
what do you think about voice activation? I've always been leery of that because I'm always afraid that I'm going to miss the very first thing it says.
Well, I think it's really quick. I do think it's really quick because I've done it. I've experimented with it myself, and I don't know if it's sort of, again, with its software, does it fill in the gap, or it's just a very fast response. But to give you another, I mean, say this is quite a few years old. It's in of itself. I mean, I'm just looking here now on Amazon with one that basically puts mine to shame. I mean, this thing's got like an LED readout and all this kind of stuff on it, and this looks like a beast. This is clearly the current one. I mean, honestly, it makes mine look like a toy, and that's £120, and that's an ICD UX570 MP3 LPCM digital voice recorder with a built-in USB, 4GB. Oh, it's an OLED screen. There you go. So I mean, you're talking about that looks like a serious piece of kit, and it's £120. I'd rather buy that. I'd rather buy two of them or three of them and put them in different rooms than spend $2,000 on something that's not particularly great. I mean, this has got a USB. I mean, I don't think... I'm just having a quick look now on mine. I don't think mine has a USB. Oh, yes, it does. It's an older style USB, though. I think the new one's the new style. Is it USB-C? Mine's the older style USB on it. But yeah, I mean, it's... I'm looking at mine in my hand and looking at this now. I'm looking at the mine in my hand and going, God, you look really poor by comparison to this one. So yeah, I mean, it's, you look at these things and go, well, why wouldn't you get something that was clearly better? Something that I mean, one of the where is it now? Just having a look at the what's it on it. I'm sure it just said it was like, so I mean, the recording time for this is 57 hours of recording time. So I mean, it seriously is going to last you. It's going to last you quite some time. I mean, something like that is great for leaving it in a room and leaving it recorded. I'm just trying to see what info I can on it.
Well, while you're doing that, I do have to admit, paranormal EVP investigating is actually what helped me become diagnosed with sleep apnea.
Right.
Because I used a device. I wanted to hear what was in my room at night.
Yeah.
Because I thought there might be something. So I set mine up to record at night while I slept.
Yeah.
And the next day, the terrifying sounds that I heard from that recording sounded like a demon straight out of hell until I realized that it was me snoring and then stopping breathing and then gasping to start breathing again.
Yeah.
And I was able to relay that to my doctor and find out that I have pretty severe sleep apnea. So I'm on the CPAP now, and that's all good.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I have to credit Paranormal Investigating for
Well, there you
probably
go.
adding a few years to the end of my life.
Yeah. What I was looking for there was, yeah, it says it has a wide dynamic range, which is exactly what you would want. You want something that has
Yeah.
got a really, really broad range in its recording. So just to say on that, I mean, obviously, yeah, we're not sponsored by Sony, so I was just using it as an example of because I was looking for the model number of mine
Yeah.
actually, because doesn't tell you on the thing. So I was looking at that and looking at what the up to date version of this is for how much it is on Amazon. It was just next to it, that's why I clicked on it. But just clicking on that, there are many other ones as well that are cheaper than that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Panasonic actually has a couple nice ones out that I looked at. They're around $150.
well, if you
but,
didn't want to spend that, there's some others on here.
Yeah.
They kind of like, you can get some which are like 30, 50 pounds. There's one here which is 80 pounds. That's 136 gigabyte voice recorder
brand
and all
new.
of this. And the brand, that's it. If you
so much better quality.
Yeah, and if you the other thing to remember, if you go and buy this Panasonic one, it's nearly 30 years old. They stopped making it in 1998. They've replaced it. So if you go out and spend that much money, it's either going to be secondhand, or even if it's still in its box, it's still a 30-year-old, well, near 30-year-old device that you're buying. Well, why would you spend all that money on such an old device that basically doesn't work? It's essentially not proving a thing. Let's be blunt about it. You're not proving a thing with it at all. And you're wasting a huge amount of money that you could use to buy a lot of other equipment, which is going to be a hell of a lot better, and equipment which is going to be more reliable. Because the whole purpose of this, surely, is if you do find something, you want it to be provable. You want it to be the real thing.
And moving on to that, we did find 3 devices that people are using and bragging on. And one of them is a very old device that I was really surprised to see people are still using as a top pick tool. This is called the Millimeter,
Yeah.
which created by an electrical engineer named Gary Galka.
Yeah.
And I know about this tool from way back in the day from the show Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
He featured it there, and they actually use this device in many of their investigations. His story is a sad one, though. What do you know about it, Aidy?
Well, the Millimeter 8704 actually came into being. I mean, say Gary Galka was or is an electrical engineer, and sadly his daughter died in a car wreck. And through sort of experiences that he had afterwards, he decided he would use his skills as an engineer to create a device that he could use to try and make contact. So it's kind of an understandable situation.
Such a tragedy.
yeah.
He was actually there.
He was.
He was on the scene when the firefighters were trying to. They used the jaws of life
Yeah.
to try to remove her from the car, and she had severe brain damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very sad. But what this device essentially is, if I understand these things correctly, is an EMF detector, and also measures temperature. So I mean, EMF detectors are a real thing. That's not anything at all. You can actually buy them. They're very useful if you're about to drill into a wall and you don't want to hit anything like an electrical cable or whatever. They do detect electromagnetic fields, hence why it's called an EMF detector. And of course, the temperature in the paranormal temperature fluctuations are shown to be a sign that something's going on there. So it's actually it's a quantifiably real device in that sense. It's using real science. I mean, how you use it is obviously important, but it's literally taking things that that exist and combining them into a device that, you know, you can just carry around and use. As always, how you use these things is what's important. But
Yeah.
yeah,
One of the features of this device, it's one of the very first spirit boxes, maybe the very first spirit box that people are using to communicate. And he was able to get his to say, "Hi, Daddy, I love you."
yeah,
And he swears that it was his daughter's voice. And you could tell, I believe Ghost Adventures did some experiments, and you could tell voice pitch. You could, if you know the person that was talking, you would recognize them. It was that good, like worlds above the Panasonic as far as voice. But this is like in real time communication.
yeah.
And they call them spirit boxes now, but I think it might have been the very first one.
Yeah, it's worth noting, like I say, that it does combine. I mean, what he noticed himself was he saw people on these investigations were using off the shelf tools.
Yeah.
That you would use if you were an electrician or you worked in that industry. That's what they were using. So what he's done is like, rather than you carrying multiple different tools around, he just combined those things into one device, which is obviously the less stuff you're having to carry around, the better. So now in the article I've read here, the other thing is as well that a percentage of his proceeds that he gets from the sales of these things also go towards grief support charities as well.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was from the article I was reading, where I was reading up about it. Because again, I mean, I don't know an awful lot about how these things work. But I do know of the sort of those sorts of tools, you know, obviously a thermometer, you know, and an EMF detector. They are real scientific tools.
Scientific, yeah.
You know, this is not something I would say is, I don't even know what the correct, you know, a hypothetical tool or something. And this is not taking something that was intended for something else. You know, this you are using it as you would. It's going to detect electromagnetic fields, and it's going to detect the temperature in the environment. So, you know, you can always back those things up, I suppose, by having a separate thermometer and a separate EMF detector. If you wanted to test this equipment and see how reliable it was, you can do that, because that's what it is, which I think is a big difference in my view. And this is just my view. It's a big difference from taking something that was intended to scan you dancing around, you know, in a game, and then sort of using it in a way that really that thing wasn't designed to be done, to be used as, and then taking something like this, which is taking technological things that are designed to be used that way. That's how you would use it. You know, you would, you know, if you wanted to detect, because electromagnetic fields are important, can be hazardous to people's health, you know, high levels of it. So they do have these things out there. So yeah, you know, he's essentially took things out there that's available and combined them all into one device. And obviously, like I say, you've got to use these things correctly. But certainly, you know, I don't feel that with this there's anything, I wouldn't suspect that this thing wouldn't give you anything that accurate, and you can always verify it as well. But I mean, he was an electrical engineer, so building these things is kind of what he does, and he's just combined those things in, like I say, into one device. And it obviously probably made it functional so it can be used in locations. Like, I think how the screen is lit is actually useful for low light environments to prevent eye strain, for example, because obviously if you're using it in a dark location, you want something that's not going to, like, cause you any kind of issues. So that's what, there's little things like that he's done to make it useful in that sense. So that's what I read up on the it's the Melmeter 8704, which, just out of curiosity, that was her birthday and the year of her birth and the year that she passed away.
Well, my heart goes out to the family.
Yeah.
Well, another device that people are using and giving good marks on is something that I was completely unaware of, the Canon XA60. And I should know about this because I'm an absolute Canon fangirl. I love my Canon camera. I've got a list of ones that I want to add to my collection. I've got loads of, and I always use vintage lenses because they're great, good quality, and you can get them super cheap.
Yeah.
And you can there is an adapter that you can use some of these old Canon lenses with the new mirrorless cameras. There's an adapter that you can still use them. So they're future proof as far as I'm concerned. But this is a camcorder, and I'm more camera than camcorder, so this one escaped me. But the thing about this device is it's a camcorder that is said to be able to record in near total darkness.
Right.
So I can see why people would want to try that out in paranormal investigations, given that they do a lot of research in the dark.
Yes.
It is one of Canon's professional cameras. Its capabilities are 4K UHD. And is said to be suitable for documentary style filming, but not limited to that kind. It's got multiple uses. And as a Canon user, I have to say they've never disappointed me when it comes to quality.
Yeah.
And we're not sponsored by Canon either, just saying. I'm not against it if you want to reach out, but no sponsorship here. I love my cameras. You can just know, Aidy, yourself, that this camcorder is now on my Christmas list. So I want to know more about what you're going to get me.
Okay.
It'll be that.
All right.
So that's it for the Canon.
Okay.
And I hear that you have a recommendation for the GS2 laser grid system. What's this all about?
Oh my God. So apparently this detects speed, distance, direction, dimensions, and temperature. I have no idea how it does all these things. But yeah, this thing has a red laser grid. It identifies distance, direction, motion, and temperature fluctuations, establishes baseline measurements, monitor environmental changes with multiple sensors, clear lighted displays, event counter tracks unique occurrences. Yes, I'm reading this. Aids in 3D modeling with dimension, shape, and speed. Audible alerts. Is compatible with a tripod and has a rechargeable battery. So there you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it projects.
It looks serious.
It does. So yeah, this thing projects a red grid pattern laser.
That is what I've been wanting this for a long, long time.
Yeah. So basically,
this is going on the list.
If anything passes through there, it's basic stuff. Like I say, it will measure the various things that I've already stated. So if you're passing through there, it will detect the motion itself, how far away, the direction you're going in, what your temperature is, what your shape and size is. So yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's basically like, if it's going to detect anything that moves, through its grid. So it's like a big scanner, basically. And yeah, how these are, I really, really don't know the full science by how it does all of that type of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because
I would love to give it a go.
Yeah, I would. You would do. I would say you do a baseline by walking through it yourself. So once you've set it up, so you can establish what a real person would would read as. And then if something does pass through it that probably is a lot colder than what a real person would be, or what kind of what motion it would be.
It seems like it would be a little bit more difficult to get a false positive
Yeah,
out of this because it requires a physical blocking of the signal.
that's right. It's something like I say, you could very easily establish sort of like, what it says is the baseline. You could very easily establish that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Just by experimenting on yourself. And then obviously it has an alert system, so it's not just a case of like it leaving it there and you having to sit with it. The moment it detects movement, it's going to flash up an alert. And yeah, I think that, like you say, would be quite tricky to see how it would give you a false positive, and so yeah, again,
We'll do another show after I get one of these because I've already
yeah,
made up my mind. I'm getting one of
to
these
go with your
and we'll
camera.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it says here that anything that passes in front of the laser with significant enough mass will cause a visual disturbance in the pattern and trigger visual displays on the device. With enough mass, the anomaly will reflect back a different pattern, bowing the lines along the surface, and all of that information combined with the collected sensor data will be an aid to someone with 3D modeling experience to actually draw a model of the entity or object. So that's pretty good as well. So you could take that data and then build something from that as to what it was. So that's kind of useful as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I mean, that's just basically like your old school laser tripwire, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's a pretty standard, well, I'd say standard, but it's a pretty much real world piece of tech that you can that has been adapted to this sort of purpose, but it's actually got like I want to say real world application. These things are used, these type of detectors are used in security, aren't they? So it's just an adapted version of that. When you distort or break that sort of beam, that then creates an event which is going to trigger this device off. So yeah, it would be interesting if you set one of these things up and left it and then came back and see what, if anything else had gone in there. And the fact that you will also record the data where you can build like model what it is that's passed through there. That's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at it. It's pretty cool. It reminds me of something out of the Terminator with the sort of the red laser stuff. I kind of like that. It's like the Terminator vision. Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd love to experiment.
I'm a female.
With it.
I want it.
Yeah. It has a readout on it. Yeah, it has temperature, distance, and like these events. So it looks like there was 86 events on this display thing. And temperature 67, distance 19. So yeah, you've got like all of these different readouts and stuff like that. That's pretty damn cool.
Well, that's pretty much what we've got as far as other people's recommendations. The only thing that I want to mention before we wrap this up is, speaking of paranormal equipment, I am in the process of I'm taking a class to become an FAA certified drone pilot. My goal, right now my drone is a DJI Mini 3 Pro. And my goal is to find some paranormal teams close to me that I can work with to do, maybe they want to film a documentary and need some aerial shots of the property, that kind of thing. I'm really interested in getting involved in some projects like that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say, while we're talking about equipment, if you are a paranormal team in the North Carolina area, maybe even a little further out, wherever you are, contact me at contact@postaboutghosts.com, and let's see if we can get something going. I'd really like to get some paranormal shots on my portfolio.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in that as a filmmaker. I kind of want to focus on paranormal filming. So
Yeah.
I'm a cheap date. You can get me cheap and easy. So give me contact me, and let's see if we can make a film for your
Awesome.
team. How about that? Is that it?
That's it for me.
That's it for me. You can find us at www.postaboutghosts.com.
Yeah.
That's where the podcast lives. There will be articles someday. Now that I'm out of school, I'm going to dedicate more time to beefing out the website. My biggest presence is on X, formerly Twitter. We are Post ABT Ghosts on Twitter, and all our social media links are on the Post About Ghosts website. We'll talk to you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.